Okay, guys. Welcome. And this is going to be a bit of a different stream, sort of a request from a friend to do. I'll probably private this at some point because this actually goes kind of insane. Um, I have quite a roster here. Hey, man. Yeah. Des. Yeah, I have quite a roster here. I have a couple things to show that are strange. Um, in the world of conspiracy, or like, why the hell is it like this? And then we get progressively stranger. We get some like weird, like a weird Joe Biden clip. We get, I can't find the video anymore because of course they scrub this stuff all the time. Of course I know I spell it wrong. Um, then we get Muslims kidnapping kids into compounds in New Mexico, and how that got swept under the rug in 2017, and I watched it on the news live, and how we never did anything about it. And then we get into a letter from one of the child wranglers on Epstein's island. That's going to be kind of long. And then, if we have time, we'll get into Jewish magic and what they do. So, here's something that I think is kind of interesting. Um, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Biden was president, um, there was just like a passing interview, just a complete passing interview. It meant nothing. Um, but watch this. Okay, so he's just walking down a road, completely normal. Did you catch it? I'm going to look at that. For some reason, his hand clips over the microphone. Now sorry. Now you may say, oh, the microphone's under his arm. What is this? Literally, what is that? What is this right here? Why is it green screened? This didn't have to be green screened. There's no reason for this to be green screened. Why could they just? Where was he? Was he actually walking down a road? There obviously weren't microphones there. Like, what was the point? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know if you guys caught this on TV, but like, this was like one of the most wild shits. Like, yeah, you're exactly right, Des, but there's a green hue. But there was no reason for this. And if I remember correctly, this clip was like, Biden was talking about like, moving troops around in Syria or something, like, something presidential related, nothing like horrendously serious. You say hand reflection, Desp? Let me see. No. You're exactly right. Look at this. This is green. This is all green. And you could say this is green because it's outside, but it's not that green outside. Um, no, this would only happen in a green screen. Like, isn't that just why? If they can't trust, if they can't just have the president just walking down the road, what the fuck is going on? The next thing is, and I could not find it, and I know, like, I sound insane. There was this TikTok clip a few years ago of, and I don't know the name, I do not know actresses or anything like this or singers or whatever. It was this somewhat famous girl, um, and she was having an interview, and at the end of a question or something, she just reflexively did the whole "as above, so below" sign. She just flashed it for no reason, and this guy next to her, I don't know if it was like her boyfriend or like the person she was working with, he was just like you could see in his face, he was like he's like, what did you just do? Why did you just flash this? If you don't know, the "as above, so below" is supposed to be through. I I think it's a satanic thing for to create uh, hell on both the world and as so below. And it was the most bizarre thing. She did it like so fluidly. This wasn't like a older woman. This was like a um like early 20s, late teens, early 20s girl. It was actually insane. Um, Also, back to here really quick. Um, I was wondering, how we have the presidents and the politicians or whatever were all in Epstien Island. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I know it shat itself because I'm freaking out, dude. I'm just freaking out. If they're on the island, like think about it. There's like 24/7 coverage of these elites of these politicians, right? So they have to, have some pre-recorded stuff for us. So like when they do go to the island or the Lolita Express, which we may get into, then they'll have something to show the press, you know, because pictures of that flap thing near his ear. What are you talking about? Joe Biden flap ear. Right, isn't this like the whole thing where like uh Biden is like 10 different 10 different people? But like 100%. There was a I guarantee you they have doubles. Why would they not? For both for security, but also for like for security, but also for like they don't want to be seen all the time. They want to go off to islands or something. They want to go sniff kids. Stuff like this. Hey, Arisram. Um, well, yeah, they want to go sniff kids and stuff. There was this. Of course, I can't substantiate anything. This is all hearsay at this point. But there was this news reporter who was reporting on Hillary during her run in 2016. I think this is 2015, and she ended up dying because she reported that the person she was following wasn't actually Hillary Clinton. Uh, anyway, um, let's check real quick. Yep. So now this is the weirdest shit. Back. Okay. Let's. So this here is an uncensored AI model because this was the only way for me to get. I don't know why my mic keeps shutting itself. I'm sorry, guys. This was the only way for me to get any information on this because it was so swept under the rug. Now let me set you up the detail here. When I was living in Vermont with my parents, after in like 2010s, there was this news story about how 50 plus kids were found in this underground compound in New Mexico, where this Muslim guy, this is how it was reported, where this Muslim guy was keeping them hostage and training them to commit school shootings. We have no idea where these kids came from. We have no idea where they went after this. Some were dead. And there was like this small underground town. And this news story was news for like 3 days straight until the local news station in Vermont reported that the FBI came in with bulldozers and just bulldozed the entire site. And not a peep was ever heard from this ever again. So let me enlighten you on what the AI has to say, the uncensored AI. The story you're referring to is the case of the so called Tripton 3, or the Muslim moms, who were arrested in conspiring to provide material support to a terrorist organization in 2011. The group consisted of three mothers of the same family, Najah, Amina, and Sarah, all from Tipton, England. So they illegally, immigrated to the UK, and then they came to the US. Because they're English, it's a lot easier for them to do this. They were accused of attempting to send their children to train at an underground compound located near near Ecota, New Mexico. So it wasn't even that these kids were found in the compound. It was found because these three mothers were trying to send their kids to this compound. This compound... What the fuck? This was swept under the rug. It was just completely memory hold. And everyone thought I was fucking insane for saying this shit. I saw it live on TV. The compound was run by a man named Siraj ibn Walaj, who claimed that it was a religious retreat for Muslim families. However, authorities found weapons and ammunition at the site, which raised suspicions about its purpose. And note that the Ibn, right here, denotes that he is a religious teacher. He's sort of like a rabbi. How a rabbi is for Judaism, he is that for Islam. Investigators later discovered, then I go off on tangents. Investigators later discovered that Wahaj has taken one of his children from his wife's home in Georgia and brought him to the compound. The boy was found dead on the property. His kid was just like, what the fuck, dude? And Wahaj he was arrested for child abuse. Authorities then searched the compound and they found 11 additional children, which were believed to have been kidnapped, held against their will. There were also found more weapons and ammunition, as well as journals suggesting that the adults of the compound were training the children for school shootings. Isn't this fucking insane? And I had been called crazy for telling people that this happened. This happened. I was in high school and this shit happened. In June 2020, Siraj ibn Wahaj was found guilty of possessing firearms by a federal jury in New Mexico. He sentenced to 18 years in prison. The Tripton Three, the three mothers, were charged with conspiracy to provide material support for the terrorists, but the case was dropped in 2017 when it became clear that their intentions did not align with the claims made by the law enforcement. In summary, this is what the actual event was. So, and this of course fails to mention that the whole site was bulldozed in 3 days. That was the reason this stopped. It was actually like this happened, and we just moved on. We did. We just moved on from this. And this was an underground bunker in New Mexico, and no one did anything. Just like the Las Vegas shooting, how the Las Vegas shooting, no one talks about anymore because too many holes have been poked into the story. Helicopters shooting people, like it's insane. It is fucking insane. And then everyone memory holds this shit. No one looks into it. When you try to look into it, you get shot two times in the back of the head. Ruled out as suicide. Okay, so that was like the two important things here. I kind of want to I'm really debating reading an excerpt from one of the Epstien files because it is horrendous. The most disgusting, disturbing thing you've ever read. And I've read a lot of disgusting, disturbing things. It really ruined my day, not gonna lie. Um, but I don't think I'll read that. Let me. I think. Let me find the letter. Let me pull up the letter. This here. No. Um. Okay. You want me to read it? Please, everyone. Like, this is it's fucking horrific. Um. Please. Um. Please turn off your headphones or turn off the audio if it's too much. Please. This is this is the file, all redacted and such. While the media stories have stated that Epstein and Maxwell's victims were mostly teenagers, there is evidence that suggests that they also abused younger girls. Jean-Jacques Brunel reportedly provided Epstein a birthday gift of 12-year-old triplets. I don't know if I can finish this. Um, little girls, were always going in and out. A phone message slip referenced a Russian lesson from a 2 by 8 year olds. Um, Epstein thought girls younger the better. Demons run this planet, dude. And, demons don't exist. Well, tell me if any human would do this. There's a photo that's blacked out. Thank the fuck Lord for that. Here's the description of the photo. The photo shows a girl, her face visible, who looks prepubescent with medium length dark hair. Several Caucasian. Dude, I'm feeling sick. Several Caucasian men are holding the girl's legs spread open. I'm turning this. I'm shutting the stream down after this. After this tonight, her vagina is visible and gashed, and there's blood coming out. In the photo's foreground, a man with a white shirt appears to be inserting his hand or something into her vagina. A round imprinted symbol of some kind is visible on the girl's leg on the underside of her left thigh. The photo's right hand corner, there is an arm with a green shirt visible. An arm holds the girl's knee in the air. In the photo's left foreground, there's a profile of a man with long sideburns, a beard, and a small bald spot on his head. Long sideburns and a small bald spot on his head. What does that conjure? Yeah, I'm not reading any more of that. That's the level of shit that is in these files, dude. That's the level, and I'm gonna delete the stream after this. And that stuff is now public. But no one's doing anything. No one can do anything. I can't do anything because there's no name. It's all blacked out. You don't even know who to shoot. I think all the Epstein and Kirk memes are just the government making everyone desensitized to everything. Some shit. So I think perhaps. No, I would believe it. Desp, I believe it because what the fuck are we gonna do? Nothing. Like people would rather sacrifice their children to these people than do anything else because because we're not hungry. We're not pushed to the limit. I think the only way for a revolution to happen is to have people be hungry. Like that's the only way for this to happen. Um, and people are just going to be doing this. Or people are just going to let this happen. Um, I don't know if I can find it, but I should find stuff on the Lolita Express, which is a plane that I can't guarantee if it was Epstein, but I think it was Epstein. He flew around where they would load up kids and then they'd fly around for several hours and then they'd land again. And if you know what Lolita means, it means little girl. But that's like the most fucked up shit. Anyway, let's read this. Let me give you some background of this. This was a this right here. What we're going to be reading is a guy who claims to have been a kid wrangler for Jeff Epstein back in 2019. Do you think Epstein was blackmailed into being the face of it? Desp, I'm not really sure. Like, what what could possibly, what could he have? I don't even know if he had to be blackmailed for it. He genuinely wanted to do this. He had books on sex magic, which I have downloaded. Actually, I have downloaded his books. Books of sacred magic. No, that's how to summon your guardian angel. That's another one. God damn, we have to find it somewhere else. Even though it could just be them playing into it. Even then, it could just be them playing into it. No, he spent hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on people who would he's very interested in science and in the occult and magic, and he would just give money to these people, and these transactions are publicly available. In fact, there are some like scientists on YouTube whose names are on the Epstein files, even though they were never on the island. It was because Epstein funded them because he was very interested in all this stuff. I'm not trying to say he was innocent or anything, but you would leave no tracks of him not being with it if it's true. So, Desp, I think you give the government and these people way too much credit for the ability to cover their tracks. They don't give a shit. Like, they do not care if you know or not, because you're not going to do anything, and they know you're not going to do anything, because no one has done anything, No one's done anything for these kids that were kidnapped into an underground bunker. No one's going to do anything about this, It's just no one's going to do anything. They eat human flesh, they eat people. The code word is jerky. The little babies are shrimp. When you ask for shrimp, you get baby flesh. I'm not shitting you. That's what this shit is about. Like, no one does anything. Alex Jones was right. They drink blood because of the angiochrome or whatever, to stay young. I'm not saying it works. That's what they do. But I will say this. Every single one of these people do not die a natural death. They don't die young. All these people die like 100 or above. They don't die of skin cancer like the rest of us. Ugh, shit fucking pisses me off, dude. And it should piss you off too. I'm not saying we can't do anything. We don't even know who to shoot. Oh, we have to shoot Jeff Epstein. Okay, where is he? Like, and I also really doubt he is the head of it. I really doubt Epstein is the head of this. He's the middleman. He's the one who connects everyone. the Rothschilds, really, that's who it really is. But anyway, let me read this. Let me fix the time before everything goes to hell. By the way, there, that looks better. He is in Tel Aviv, dude. He is in Tel Aviv uh playing Fortnite, right? Because that's how he found he was. I was saying that if he was the middleman, no, he is the middleman. He is definitely the face of it because it is essentially all but confirmed that he is alive, right? So someone's keeping him alive, whether it be the president or the prime minister of England or someone else. I think the president or prime minister, these are all clients of Epstein. They're not his wrangler. You know, unless he has he's the top and then he has his lackeys protecting his ass. But interviews of Epstein show that he was fairly normal in terms of how he carried himself and stuff. He wasn't like some evil mastermind. He just knew very powerful people and was able to connect people together. Anyway, let's start reading this. I'm gonna kill myself tomorrow, X. I'm also sending 3 packets of copied information to the media. 1 to CNN, 1 to MSNBC, and 1 to Fox News. I know, right? It's Israel. It's all Mossad. It is all Mossad. You are correct. The wall is hollow. The wall is hollow, and they perform rituals inside the wall as you kiss it. That's a whole other thing. The whole fucking Jewish Kabbalah, AI, Epstein, demiurge. Yeah, don't get me started. Anyway, you all have to see which one tells the truth about the information they receive and which ones don't. I trust 4chan to do this because our history of releasing legit info into the face of mass media cover-up. And just to note, none of this information made it to the news, even though he supposedly sent tapes. At least, I have been a professional driver/security guard for a circle of very wealthy people for almost 8 years. I started by working at the door at a private gentleman's club outside the DC area. From that job, I was introduced to some employment managers for Jeffrey Epstein. Because I had experience as both a cab driver and a bouncer, as well as always overlooking and keeping my mouth shut about drugs and prostitution that my employers at the club profited from, though they thought I'd be a good fit to work the weekends for Mr. Epstein. Imagine working the weekends for Jeff Epstein. At first, I didn't do very much, nothing important. I would run errands mostly, do anything my manager, who directly reported to Jeff Epstein, wanted me to do. So, say the gardener calls out sick one day, I would be the one mowing the lawn at his place. I was sort of the floating general helper. Inevitably, I ran into Mr. Epstein now and then, and he was always very personable and enthusiastic. I had heard about his original court case and the rumors and everything, but just meeting this guy made me feel like it was all a lie because he seemed so kind and genuine. I thought he really was just a hotshot money man like Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark kind of figure. And I think, ultimately, that's how he wanted us to all see him. His god complex was, to say, the very least, very developed. So then, of course, you get all this BS, Gake and Faye, this is the fact, you're going to be a hero, 3 shots to the back of the head. So why are you going to kill yourself, continue your story. So here we go. We're going to continue. Eventually, I was trusted with bigger jobs. I think I got a good reputation because I cleaned one of Mr. Epstein's bedrooms one day. There was, to my dismay, a mixture of shit and gum on the bed sheets. I dealt with it professionally. I didn't say anything. I knew that by then someone was always watching. There are cameras in almost every one of the rooms, save Mr. Epstein's private office and regular bedroom. He had several bedrooms, but one was his favorite, I guess, his main room. I never mentioned it to anyone, but I got a thank you from my manager for being discreet. One day, I was asked to go pick up a masseuse from the bus station. I didn't ask her age. I knew better, but she couldn't have been older than 16. I got a really bad feeling in my stomach because at this point denying Mr. Epstein's taste would be borderline irrational. I did my job, though. I took her to his house, and a few hours later, I took her back to the bus stop. She was crying, and I didn't talk to her about it. A few weeks later, I did it again. Now my manager tells me that Mr. Epstien would like me to take over all of his various pickups and drop-offs. They called it cutie duty. Fucking barf. That's what they called it. They called it cutie duty. The person... Dude, seriously. This is what these people fucking did. And this is just the beginning. Hang on. It gets fucking wild. Crank up audio. There. Yo, can you hear me now? Cool. Sorry about that. I'm trying not to wake my wife. But yeah, they call it cutie duty. 6 dB. Here. Is that good? Yeah, okay. Oh, shit. Peaking. Sorry. Okay. So, yeah. Cutie duty is what it was called. Picking up kids. But it's more than just girls. I would pick up drugs, and other sort of packages, most of which I had no idea what the contents were as far as I was concerned, but the less I knew, the better. I was getting paid very well for this amount of work. Thanks, man. For the amount of work I was doing. In a given day, I spent 3, maybe 4 hours doing anything that would be considered work, and the rest of the time I either sat in my car browsing 4chan on my phone or inside pretending like I was a rich and this was my house. Of course, man. Yeah, sorry about that, Mike Peter. Welcome, Mike Peter. Please subscribe. I don't normally do this stuff, but I do programming, but I'm very passionate about this. For this, I was being paid $75K a year, and this was way back when. This was like in the 2000s. More than you'd ever hope to make for in my whole life. When I took over most doing anything, it went up to $115. Every time my job became more illegal, the more money, and then it would get better. That's his tactic. He knows that people will do just about anything for the right price. Yeah. So remember, again, this was released in 2019 on 4chan. I just want people to know, I guess, to call a public confession, because I'm guilty. I guess they don't care that much because I'm going to be dead. I've done things I can't forgive myself for. I can't, and I think they'll have me killed anyway. I'm going to do it on my own terms. So this guy angered himself after this. Anyway, Mr. Epstien is very shrewd. He pays you a lot, but not enough for the shit you have to do. And he tries to find the absolute least amount that he can pay you to keep doing it. For me, disgracefully, it was around $150K. I stayed on cutie duty for about 4 months, and Mr. Epstien took a trip abroad and he loaned me out to another family, the Romneys. This is motherfucking Mitch Romney. This is the president. He wasn't a president-elect. He was running for president. Like, very powerful families. They all do this shit. Like, I swear to God, you get a certain amount of money and you start fucking kids. It's insane. Anyway, I never met Mitch Romney, and I don't think I ever worked for him, just his family. I reported to an employment manager, as usual. I was tasked with driving a young man named Cole. This is one of the kids, I remember, wherever he wanted. Cole was probably 22 and already had his license, but he had been suspended for drunk driving. He lived in a huge house out in the middle of nowhere outside Boulder, Colorado. Man, it was beautiful. If I could have stayed out there forever, I would have. I suspected it was a vacation cabin. It was a mansion. It starts at $50 million. Dude, I fucking hope not. It might. This was a cabin owned by his parents, but I digress. Every weekend, we would drive to the city. He would get shit-faced drunk, find a woman, a prostitute, and I'd take us all back home. Cole was a piece of total shit. If you remember Scumbag Steve, just imagine Steve's parents were multimillionaires, not billionaires, if you get the idea. Now this gets fucking wild. So, yeah, like these channels will publish information. Do you got pictures? Why aren't you dead? Suicide, who are you? This guy keeps going. So one Sunday morning after a typical Saturday night, I report for 8 a.m. duty, sharp, knowing damn well Cole isn't going to drag his ass out of bed until at least 3 p.m. Here he comes hobbling down the driveway in his socks to my car. Usually he texts me when he's about to come inside and start cleaning up his messes. No text today. He comes over to my car, and as I'm stepping out, he says, hey buddy, we got kind of a problem, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, what? Let's see. We go inside, upstairs to his bedroom. His girlfriend last night is lying face up. Her mouth is open, pooled with vomit. She is most definitely dead. So he's a dead girl. As far as I can tell, she overdosed on whatever combination of prescription drugs they were doing, passed out, puked, and then suffocated on her own vomit. I'm absolutely flipping my shit, and I got my phone out dialing 911. Cole slaps it out of my hand and says to me, hold on. It says he can't get in trouble because it'll look bad on his family. I said, Cole, you've already been getting into trouble. He says, I know, but just not this kind of trouble. He says I'll get a big bonus if I just deal with it myself. Now, I'm way out here in the middle of nowhere, and the implication from day one of my employment in the circle is that if I mess up, I might suffer harsh consequences. I know what he did was wrong. I know that, and I am so sorry. Dude, people are saying this story is too silly to believe. I think it's just the right amount insane to be 100% true. Like, okay, look, do you really think, like these people are so rich they don't do shit? Like, what else are they gonna do? They do this stuff because it's taboo. I asked him what I'm supposed to do. He says, just wait. He gets a different phone out of the drawer and starts making calls. After a few minutes, I'm waiting in the hallway. He's casually pacing around the corpse. Gives me GPS coordinates, and this motherfucker gives us GPS coordinates. Huh. No way. He gives us GPS coordinates for a little spot off 111 outside the mountains. There it is. It's right here. I'm supposed to... It's right there. It's confirmed. Like, he is giving you the correct coordinates. I'm supposed to wrap her up, take her there, and drop her off. He said there would be guys waiting there to take her. It's a long drive, and I don't look forward to it one bit. I wrap her up in his comforter. He stops me. Bro, he says. Bro, not that blanket. That's like the softest blanket in the world, dude. No way. He gets me a different blanket from the closet. Real fucking gentleman, Cole was. He made this up with sweet images. Holy Maria, Mother God, what's going on here? Nothing bad will happen to you. You may not be able to forgive yourself, all that stuff. Don't worry. Post it here. Anyway, let's continue the story. He got an F-150 at his property, right? And they used for landscaping work. I put her body in the bed with a tarp on top, and I filled the rest of the back with landscaping supplies, fertilizer, tools, etc. I tried to make it really natural and boring. I'm shooting bricks. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but he's promising me that if I get busted, I'll have the best lawyers money can buy, and I believe him. She's dead already anyway, and unlikely he would just even get in any real legal trouble, just bad press. So what's the difference? The whole time I'm driving, I'm just sweating right through my clothes. I had to stop twice to puke. When I got there, there's a little dirt spot you can pull off onto, right? You know, the shoulder, you can pull off onto the road. Dude, it's insane. And there's a big black SUV and a Jeep with off-road tires. I'm not just about to assume that these are the people, so I get out and approach the SUV. The window rolls down, and there's a woman who's probably in her 50s, bro, and we're guessing the woman is Hillary Clinton. Obviously, that's a bit of a stretch, but isn't that insane? Oprah fucking wrangled girls, Ghislaine Maxwell wrangled, like, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you all did this shit. And a big guy is driving. I don't know what to say, so I'm just kind of like, how's it going? Feeling like a complete fucking idiot. She makes a call and describes me to the person on her phone, and it puts it down and says, where are you looking for? Is it under all that stuff in the bed? I say, yeah. Do you need help? She says, no, take a break. So I walk into the trees a little bit and smoke a cigarette or two. They've got to get her out, and in the Jeep in about 5 minutes. The woman tells me to drive. Wait 15 minutes before I leave, and then pull out of the driveway. The Jeep drives further into the woods. I wait maybe 7 minutes before I leave. I text later telling me never leave early again. It was from a blocked number. This is the most common ways to die from opiate overdose. Writing the coordinates down though. So right off the major looking road, a little clearing there. He's either telling the truth or did research for this LARP. Yeah, put me in the screen cap, niggas. So when I get back to the house, Cole is sitting at the kitchen table eating a massive bowl of Fruit Loops with a big serving spoon, watching Love and Hip Hop. Okay? This man is like a child, and he hasn't even gotten dressed yet. He asks me to wash his blanket and sheets. I do it. We get really drunk that night, and Cole tells me this has happened twice before, and it's always fine. He says he's like Scarface and shit. I hate him. The remaining few months go by without incident, and he gets his license back, and freeing me at least. Mr. Epstien doesn't need me at this time, but I do get referred to a reliable driver to the big wigs at Def Jam Records, who assigned me to work on Rihanna's crew while she promoted Talk That Talk, at the time her sixth and newest album. So this dude worked for so many people. I never met Miss Rihanna in person, just passing now and then. But I found this job to agree with me a lot better than the others. This is also pretty bad, dude. I drove a van stacked with promotional gear from city to city while she toured. A few times I was sent to pick up Molly and, whatever taught the test strips for purity. So, we picking up some fun drugs. If it wasn't pure, I was supposed to walk away, but it was always pure. There are circles within circles of connections. I believe there's an entire shadow economy strictly for the rich and famous to get their rocks off collectively. There is, and this is it. One thing I did learn about Rihanna is that she enjoys young females as well. I was sent to pick up two young girls and bring them to her hotel room. Of course, I was met outside the door by someone more important than me. This struck me as odd because, as far as I understand, Rihanna is not a billionaire like Epstein, but she would get even more insulated and protected than he was. I'm sure that has a lot to do with just personal choices regarding security, but I get the picture that in this world, influence and money both do equal power, and especially Rihanna in 2011-2012 was highly influential. All I had to do was mention her name and the kids would get in the car just like that. This is the shit, like, if you get in the car as a kid, this is what you're doing. You're gonna get raped by someone and then killed. But, like, that's what our parents are warning us. More LARP, could stay comfortable, don't commit suicide, go live in Siberia. This is in 2020, so the war started in 2022 or 2021, probably a bad time. What do you say, nice try? Can't do this? Yeah, okay. So, the most noteworthy thing that happened while working for Def Jam when Rihanna had a party to celebrate the end of her tour. Everybody was there. And I mean all of the pop stars were there. Jonas Brothers, Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, and even a few old heads like Elton John. And some actors. I noticed John Travolta, for sure, Seth Rogen, Emma Stone, Bradley Cooper. All these people, the people that we watch on movies, on shows, listen to music, these people fuck kids. For this party, I knew I was tasked with getting entertainment. They wanted as young as I could get and as many as I could get. Ostensibly, they were being hired to be wait staff, valet drivers, but the plan was to switch it up on them when they actually get there. Give them drugs, money, whatever they needed to do to get them to do what they wanted them to do, which essentially was to be an all expenses paid prostitutes for whoever wanted them. That part, thankfully, was not my job. I'm just the piece of shit who tricked them into going. I picked up 5 young girls from a mall, a couple of teenage boys I found walking along the road, and I got a hold of an escort company to fill it out to make it an even dozen. The ones from the escort company were not underage, and I was severely chastised for it. My manager basically asked if I wanted to work again. I said yes. He then said, act like you got some goddamn sense. I didn't make this mistake again. After the tour ended, I was just on my own for a month or so. I rented a house near Tulsa and practically isolated the entire time. I was starting to get ideas in my head about going to trade school or something when I was called to work for Mr. Epstien again. At this point, I've developed a bit of a bad coke habit, which I've only been sober a few months to this day. I needed something to make me do it. Coke makes you feel numb in a way that not much anything else does. I've tried just about anything. There are research chemicals no one has ever heard about that get traded around these circles. When I came back to work for Mr. Epstien on his island, I was going through an 8-ball every day or two. binge drank at night, but I had to keep focused during the day. The coke wired me up and the liquor brought me back down. That was the only way mentally I could really cope with what was going on. So this dude is just fucked. And I believe it. I was flown to his now infamous island, St. James. Little St. James was the island. To be one of his regular staff. Essentially lived on this island for free. Getting for free. Where was I? Lived on this island for free while getting paid to maintain the grounds and to keep the buildings up. When Mr. Epstien was there, obviously he would bring his own entertainment, so I didn't even have to do that. I thought this sounds like a fucking fantastic deal. Island paradise, great wages, not much real work, count me in. Out of all my sins, I believe sloth is the most damaging one I indulge in. I always look for the easy dollar, and this is why I'm a prey for people like this. People, don't kill yourself. This guy's posting like all night. Now, first of all, this island is like paradise on earth. It's always a comfortable temperature. The rains are breathtakingly beautiful, and the architecture and decor of the houses is exquisite. Yes, the bathhouse really is creepy. The fake doors are there to confuse flyby surveillance, if anyone was wondering. The other regular staff were hard to get along with. They were all creeps, and I mean capital C fucking creeps. They made me wonder about myself. Honestly, I'm put here with them. They all joked about getting Mr. Epstein's leftovers. And the talk was constantly about when Mr. Epstien was going to visit the island again, when he would bring important people, world leaders, CEOs, etc., and most of the staff were kept totally out of sight. We weren't allowed to work in an area unless we knew it was empty. Only his most trusted employees could actually be in the building with him and high-powered friends. Sometimes, though, it would just be the family and things, and it was more relaxed. I passed by his office once carrying some garbage, and he beckoned me inside. He asked me my name, and I told him. He offered me a seat. I took it. You don't get this far in business by saying no. He began to talk to me. He looked really stressed. He asked me how anything that feels good could be bad. What the fuck? Anything? He asked me, how could anything good be bad? Anything that feels good be bad. What the fuck, bro? He had a big painting of Oscar Wilde and considered him a personal hero. He began to explain hedonism to me and asked me if I understood. Of course, I said. Well, who doesn't like fun? Lots of people. He said, lots of people. And he let me go about my duties. So I'm on here, sending these up prove a point, blah, 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 blah. Okay, seems most believable. Okay, I fucked up really bad one evening. Yeah, this is when I fucked up. And I entered one of the maintenance sheds to return some tools that I've been using, and I saw the sweaty, pale back of a large man, hunched over and thrusting. He had the tattoo of Nixon on his back, and he was wearing a bull's head mask. He was fucking one of the regular staff members' mouths. He turned to me. I'm just standing in shock, and he says quite angrily, "Do you mind?" And I slam the door shut. As I'm closing the door, I get a glimpse of my coworker's face, and he's crying. I googled Nixon back tattoo and realized it was Roger Stone. This is him. This is the dude he saw. This is the dude he saw on the island, fucking some guy in the mouth. I'd never even heard of up to that point. I knew I was in deep shit. The next day and for 2 weeks after, I got all the worst jobs. Trash pickup, cleaning toilets, scrubbing his boats. It fucking sucked, but I kept my mouth shut anyway. As far as I understood, my pay had not been cut whatsoever. I do shitty jobs because I'm by myself at least. Hey, and I'm by myself. This is fine with me. More scan info, blah 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 blah. Roger Stone is a manlet. Blah 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 blah. I'm not a good guy, but thank you. If this is a movie as The Punisher or whatever, rip my spine on my back and I deserve it. I'm not a good guy. Yeah, he's not a good guy. Anyway, things started getting really tense on the island from that point. People started making little comments to me about being nosy, you know, or about minding my own business. I was starting to get worried about that I'd be branded a troublemaker, which of course you don't want to be. Things turn very quickly in this business, and that's how I've kept a lid on it for so long. Any small mistake and you're out. Most people let go with NDAs and the understanding that they'll be watched the rest of their lives, which ultimately is how he got out as well. After Epstien died, they cut me loose. I guess they'd figure since he's dead, nothing I know would matter anyway. They're probably right, honestly. It probably won't matter anyway, but the rest of the time the island was pure terror. I was just waiting to be taken away or worse. Never happened, but I was really scared. I saw a few of their weird plays they would do around the bathhouse. Mr. Epstien had a little portable stage that he would get set up, and they would wear the bullhead that I saw. But the rest of my time, I saw Stone wearing the bullhead. I saw Stone wearing, and give a big speech about what he called freedom. He would say this island is the only free place in the whole world, where everyone on it can do whatever they want. Bullshit, not your employees. Not the children you bring here. Total bullshit. Everyone would cheer. They'd get up and do a sort of conga line with tiki torches, really cringy old rich people shit, and then go into the bathhouse. There's a trap door on the floor that has not been reported on any of the investigation photos that I've seen to what they call which leads to what they call the chamber. It is essentially a bondage dungeon. I don't know what all happened in there, and I never want to know. I stayed as far away from that bathhouse as I could. If you don't know the bullhead, Moloch, and Baal, the gods of the Canaanites, had the bullheads, and what you would do is you would sacrifice your children to them. Just so you know, that's what the bullhead is. Large and wide is the brick of a man. Yep, this is him. Pig related, and the supply shed is taking up basically the entire doorway. So anyway, I got my reputation for most part back into good graces. And I was working in the main houses again. One time I was helping in the kitchen, and I don't know if the chef was fucking with me. I hope so, but he was separating what looked to be the torso of a very young, skinned pig. It had been roasted, and he was chopping it into quarters. The ribs to be served that evening, and the rest broken down for soups and casseroles. I jokingly said that it looked like a little kid. He just gave me this awful, dead-eyed look for a second and said, "Watch it." And it's also now confirmed that, yes, these people ate kids. They eat kids. Continuously. A very young skinned pig. So when you say very young, I don't know if you know what a suckling pig is. Not very big. Okay? It's not this size. It's much smaller. So, what age do you think that kid was? What age? I worked on the island for about a year. Hang on. I worked on the island for about a year. In 2013 and 2014, Mr. Epstien chose me and two other trusted employees from the island to come with him to winter retreat in the Swiss Alps. He owned a small, mind you, mansion there and wanted people, he knew to be trusted because most of the staff would be local hires. Our job on the surface was to help manage all the employees, like supervisors basically, but the unspoken task would be to be keeping everyone else in the dark or quiet. Mr. Epstein had a real fondness for plump young Swiss blondes. And the Swiss, as you'd explain, had a very progressive idea regarding age of consent. Oh boy, he viewed this as a more relaxed way to do what he does, more casual. Part of the thrill for these people, I think, is the fact that if it is illegal, they could get in big trouble. When they go to places that are more friendly with the idea of an older man having sex with 15-year-olds, is to take a break from it, so to speak. The ops themselves, wow, I mean, I've been over the U.S. and nothing in this country compares to the Europe for terms of sheer beauty. Sometimes early in the morning when I'm out in my cabin and stretch, looking at the trees, smelling the crisp, clean air, just for a moment I forget what I've done and what I was doing. When it came back to me, I had to fight back tears. I want the mountains there to be the last thing I think about before I die. True though, the Alps, most beautiful, and I also should get into human hunting. I think getting into human hunting would be good. How there's ranches up in Canada that people take kidnapped people and let loose on there, and you can pay big sums of money to go hunt them, go hunt people. Um, blah 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 blah. Wagon to get some liquor. Blah 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 blah. Watch yourself. Blah 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 blah. Upload files. Here we go. Okay, so I've not been there 3 days when, while me and the other two from Maryland are doing bumps of coke off a butter knife in the lower garage, a boy maybe 14, skinny, blonde, pale, naked, comes up to the doorway right to us. He's speaking French, but I think I got the gist of what he's saying. He was asking for help. He looked hysterical. Immediately, my two friends were out of there, and I shouldn't have been that far behind. I told him, calm down, it's okay. I'm going to help you, I just want him to feel better. This all took maybe 30 seconds before one of the nannies came in. He looked at her confused, and I get that picture he was trying to decide if she could be trusted. She couldn't. She shushed him and put her jacket over him and took his hand. She was speaking French as well, and it sounded like a mother consoling a frightened child. She led him back into the house, and I did not see him again. I never mentioned it to anyone, and no one ever mentioned it to me. Holy fuck, the things people do for money. The things people do for money, man. During my last couple of weeks, I witnessed firsthand the murder of an independent journalist. I don't think he was actually a journalist. I think maybe he had a blog or a YouTube channel, but I never heard of him. And I don't know what his name was. I don't think he was anyone with any real connections. He was one of the local hires, a dishwasher, but he had been seen with a cell phone out, possibly recording. I mean, the other two from the island were asked to go check it out. So we got the guy. We go get the guy and ask him to empty out his pockets, and sure enough, he's got a phone. We tell him to unlock it. He wouldn't. One of the guys made a call, came back, slugged him directly in the nose. I think it broke it because there was blood just pouring out, and the guy started screaming. I don't think he'd ever been hit before, but me and the other guy held him down. Fuck it, I'll say their names. It was Daniel Robinson from South Florida and Marcus Harper from Nevada. Marcus and I were holding him down, and Daniel punched him again and told him to unlock the phone. He complied this time. And sure enough, there were pictures and videos from inside the house. We knew he hadn't sent anything out because there were only wired connections that worked there. I guess they had signal jammers or something. Or maybe because it was just so remote. But I don't know. Anyway, Daniel makes another call and tells us to take him outside into the woods. I think we're just going to threaten him and make him sign an NDA, but Daniel took his belt off and strangled him to death. We had to put his body up in an outbuilding because the ground was frozen. We put him through a wood chipper and then burned everything to ash. There were bits of charred bone over when I swept it all up into a trash bag and threw it out like regular garbage. This, above everything else, I feel most guilty for. Insane shit. After that, if I wasn't in before, I definitely was in now. Me, Marcus, and Daniel. The three fucking stooges from hell. Daniel had been in the military and I think he had a few screws loose because he always had a temper. He became the go guy for the really dirty shit. I started working for Mr. Epstein directly after this. Like, he was working for him directly. He would confide in me sometimes when he was very high about how nothing really makes him feel good enough. He told me once that he hadn't felt happy in years. I wish I had the stones to tell him that this life he is living is only bringing him down. For a brief moment, I felt empathy for this man. I think that, too, was part of his game, though. I don't think he had ever had a genuine, feeling in his life outside sexual gratitude. He never mentioned a journalist to me. Like, never happened. We both knew it was the reason I was now working directly for him. Listen, I think I've said all I care to right now. I'm gonna go get a bottle of something before the store's closed. If the sweat's still here in a few hours, I'll come back and answer the questions and tell more stories. And we have a lot more to go. Now, when I remember reading this back then, I sort of stopped reading around here. So let's scroll down. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if this guy ever said anything ever again. What's the pick about? The fuck is this? Fucking lol. If I'm waking up next timeline, blah 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 blah, David, kill yourself, suicide, blah 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 blah. You want me to come get me? Stop posting your tires and nearing the limit. Nope, that paceman's long gone. Okay. Alright, boys. I'm back. I don't know anything about a secret phone. It sounds like something above my pay grade. My question here about the shadow economy. Ever see culture, robes, pentagrams, rituals, all that sort of shit? Okay. The guy's answering more questions. The guy's answering more questions. Egg-shaped cock. OP says, great, Godspeed. Okay. Got no clue. Blah 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 blah. I don't think he was retarded at all. Here we go. My question. Shadow, did you tell Epstein he was retarded in some way? I'm intrigued by how you described the crisis of how something that feels good can be wrong. Elaborate on what really goes to these people's heads. Are they infantile? I don't think he was retarded at all. He was whip smart. I just don't think he had any emotional intelligence. I think maybe he was hollow inside for the most part. And then this guy was talking about, is there occult shit or anything? He says, no, well, they call them plays and theater, but for my eyes, yes. They would say the speeches and stuff, and I saw what looked a lot like rituals. The bull's head mask was scary. I mean, it was a rubber mask for sure, but whoever spoke would wear it all night. After they would come up out of the chamber, the masked person would roam the island all night, and it was generally understood to avoid them at all costs. When they wear the mask, they're like animals. They just wander around from one carnal satisfaction to the next. Food, sex, sometimes violence, whatever. And they could do whatever they want. If they came to you and told you to suck their dick or whatever, you had to do it. It never happened to me, thankfully, but I made sure on those nights to stay out of sight. When you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Hey OP, is this your few screws loose? I'm your ex-man friend, so you just says no and I'll keep working. Maybe if you put on some weight and cleaned up. It's been years since I saw him, but he was really hard on coke and amphetamines. He was real thin with longer hair and stupid chin strap. But unfortunately, since before any of this, I think you guys are the only people who would ever even listen to this. And the people would chant these rituals. They call them plays in theater. That's what most of the people who practice ceremonial magic call it in magic order. So yes, nothing too crazy. Most rituals, invocations to hype, make things even more hedonistic, degen, I would say. Okay. Come on, OP, blah 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 blah. At what point were you taking pictures to get this at TDK? This is like 3 hours later. A die tag mix in OP. Cole Romney confirmed. Of course, I probably need to log in. This is the dude who killed a chick. Several chicks. Don't kill yourself. How can I get to work? With sleazy fucking wealthy people. Not like child sex trafficking, cabal skeezy, but no, you don't want any of this shit, dude. I'll be here. I decided I'm not going to kill myself and I'm going to live the rest of my life as a gay man. Thank you all for stories. Hashtag BLM. That's funny. That's funny. People are just asking stupid fucking questions. Blah 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 blah. 4th of July Road. Isn't there supposed to be something big happening on the 4th and before Penn Day? Great thread. Best one here in a long time. Yeah, so this was posted literally the night before her arrest. So obviously this guy, I feel like this guy was real. And don't kill yourself. I think OP killed himself. OP, I salute you, wholesome. Since reading this, you're a hero. It'd be poetic justice if Bill Boy and all the rest of them got hanged for treason talk. They're not gonna get hanged for treason. Basically, these are a bunch of people saying that, you know, people are famous people talk on these threads. Common names, crimes, I believe this thread just made X great again, or anything, any of these still good, not found. I think OP fucking no longer never okay, so guy, this is the story. People are archiving the story. And that's the end. That's the end of the thread. I think that's it for this stream. I just wanted to show you that things are fucking wild. And yeah, H-Man, I'll send you the picture, but trust me, you don't want to read it. Yeah, that's it. I'm glad I got to read this, because it's been a while since reading it. There's another there's a 4chan post that I was actually part of that was some guy who worked for Area 51 telling us about his experience. I'm getting a missing number. I fucking hope not, dog. I'm not suicidal in any way. Dog, that I want to look at the Area 51 one, at some point, I want to deep dive into Destiny's Schizo arc, where basically Destiny, the guy from, online or whatever, is being gang stalked by AI live on his stream, with like court documents being AI generated live. It's fucking nuts. There's a couple other threads I want to go down about how perhaps AI as we know it started a lot earlier than we thought. And just a few things of how the abyss will stare back. At some point, I do want to go down a Jew magic stream and look at like some crazy shit that's in the Talmud and stuff like this, and how AI will not tell you how to summon demons. Because I'm like, dog, if demons are fake, why will you not tell me how to summon them? Like what the fuck is going on? But yeah, that's it for the stream. Again, I'm not suicidal. I'm glad you guys were here for the ride. And I think in a few days I'll private it because I don't want, my employers or something seeing this. Yeah. This world is crazy. And apparently we're not going to be doing anything about it, which is unfortunate. I can't do anything about it. I don't know who to shoot. All these names are blanked out. Oh, also, by the way, I have most of the JFK. I have most of the Epstien files downloaded. I also have the UFO leaks I want to go through at some point. I think that'd be pretty fun. I have all the files there. I want to go through Operation High Jump and stuff like that. But yeah. I will, yep. I'll see you guys later, probably for a programming stream, and I'll probably do one of these again at some point. Good night, and please stay safe.